My favorite, Charlie Kirk, debated a Cambridge professor. Oh no,
Folks,
moving on
let me
from the
tell you about my
students.
good friend.
No more students around here, bro. Going after the big dogs now. Let's go.
Marvelous. Thank you. A very, very short question. Israel versus Hamas. Good guy versus bad guy. Russia versus Ukraine. Who's the good guy and who's the bad guy?
Uh-oh. Okay. Prediction, Charlie Kirk is going to not answer.
Both are bad, one is worse.
I knew it. Dude.
Which way round?
Both is bad, one is worse. You would never answer that question in that way for any other context, bro.
Russia is worse than Ukraine.
Okay, so why haven't we pursued that?
What do you mean?
Well, it seems to me that in the whole of the current US proposition, that Ukraine is being the bad guy.
In what way? We funded Ukraine upwards to $200 billion.
Absolutely, but...
We just signed a mineral deal with Ukraine, not Russia.
Yeah, but you are expecting Ukraine to give up 20% of its territory to someone who invaded it.
Well, is Crimea part of Russia or Ukraine?
Ukraine.
That's where we don't agree.
Well, I'm afraid that's part of international treaty. That's not up for grabs.
Well, it's interesting. I mean,
hold on.
I mean,
Have you ever considered that we don't care about laws because we are a radical Christian nationalist fascistic movement? Okay, I'm not going to use big words. Okay, those are big words. Charlie Kirk is a asshole.
even Zelensky has said he's willing to give up Ukraine.
No. America signed the agreement that gave Ukraine Crimea.
Right.
When the Soviet Union ended.
Right. It was done. First of all, it never should have been done. It was largely ceremonial.
No.
But however, it was
ceremonial.
annexed under Obama.
Okay.
Yes, and it was a mistake, and it should be given back to Russia as a sign of good gesture to end this conflict. Okay. But
Good
who's
gesture
currently
to
controlling
Russia.
Crimea? Where was the Russian Navy headquartered in World War II? Where was the end of World War II signed? This is very important.
I'm not doubting that. I'm just saying that if we're being logical on what has happened, that you're now arguing against that flow. And I don't understand it. Because actually, why is Ukraine the bad guy?
No, I said they're bad. They're not the bad guy.
Yeah, well, you said they were both bad, but one was more bad.
Correct,
than the other.
yes.
So why is Ukraine bad?
Well, there's a lot wrong with Ukraine.
Corruption.
First of all, they're not a democracy. Zelensky refuses to hold an election.
Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm. Also, consider supporting my channel in the description down below. Thank you.
Well, no, he can't hold an election.
Oh, wait, did Churchill hold an election during the war?
Because under his constitution...
Hold on, Lincoln held an election during the war. That's not true. He can call an election. He can call a snap election.
Under their constitution, no elections during wartime. The professor is trying to say it, but Charlie Kirk is talking over him because Charlie Kirk knows he's wrong.
He's full dictator of the country.
No.
Full dictator,
He knows
LOL.
that the people of Ukraine would...
Even the opposition party in Ukraine has done interviews. The opposition party has done interviews talking about this being an actual law, because it's a law in Ukraine. Zelensky is not doing anything illegal by suspending elections. A dictator would mean that you are suspending all elections unilaterally, and that the legal processes are being suspended completely in an irrational way. That means that you're never going to give up control. But if Russia stopped invading, there would be an election.
Kick him out immediately because he's deeply unpopular. In fact, if he wanted to show a state...
Zelensky is very popular in Ukraine. The polling for Zelensky went up like 20 points in the past 6 months. And we know that because Ukraine lets any journalist in there to do polling and reporting. Unlike Russia, you cannot talk about anything in Russia that's not approved by the government, or you get shot in the head. Or you get thrown off a hotel building.
Statement to the world, he would call an election and win by 80% and say, see, I'm super popular. So that's number one. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a person being propped up as a government we're sending $200 billion to that refuses even to face his voters.
Okay, I can't agree with you factually on that at all.
Okay.
I mean, constitutionally, Ukraine is not able to hold an election because it's under military law at the moment, and that's just a matter of fact.
Again, he can, as a...
You think Trumpers care about facts? They don't care about our Constitution, bro. They think habeas corpus is a privilege. They think the Fifth Amendment is a privilege.
Prime Minister or President, he could do whatever he wants.
He can't.
Okay, all right, we're
He
going to just
can't
go back and
sign an
forth with each
executive
other.
order and change
We're gonna go back and forth. I love it when Charlie Kirk is like, we're gonna go back and forth. Me, I'm gonna lie to you, and you're gonna cite facts. We're gonna keep on going back and forth. Love Charlie.
the Constitution.
Okay.
Neither can the American president either. So
Okay.
hopefully there's a bit of.
He could even do a ceremonial election to see where he actually stands with the people.
Do you see how bullshit this is? It's a conversation where Russia is trying to take over an entire country, a sovereign nation, torturing women and children, re-education camps, trafficking children, bombing civilian centers every single day. The American president is justifying it. And Charlie Kirk's talking about doing a ceremonial election. It's called polling, dumbass. It's called polling. They do polls all the time. You can send, Charlie Kirk himself can fund someone to go do polling in Ukraine right now.
I think we call those opinion polls.
Yes, and they're very negative.
Firmly ahead in the opinion.
Again, but you would agree that a person that holds on to power without the election of the sovereign is pretty questionable.
No, not in those circumstances.
Okay, then we disagree.
No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But give me another reason why you.
They are the most corrupt country in Europe that never even met the most remote standard.
The recent polling from Ukraine said around 70% of Ukrainians have trust in Zelensky.
Standards of joining NATO. Do not know where a lot of this money is going.
I don't disagree that there is a problem with corruption, but the most corrupt country in Europe, are you sure about that?
I'd have to think. I'd have to double or triple think about that, but they're very corrupt.
Okay, so that's a little bit doubtful. It's not absolute.
Well, I mean,
There's plenty of corruption around. I mean, let's face it, we are talking about comparison with some of the states you're doing business with in the Gulf.
Of course, but we're not giving them money; they're giving us money. That's a difference, right? Saudi Arabia.
Oh, so it's fine.
Well, hold on a second.
It's morally acceptable to take money from corrupt people.
Well, hold on. First of all, as far
And by the way, we are taking money from Ukraine as well. And for the Gulf states, we are giving them much more value than they can give to us in money or oil. Okay, we are giving them much more value. The American military and our bases there are much more in value. And the American lives that are put at risk to do the business we're currently doing, like, oh my God, dude. It's a crazy situation to even make that comparison. Ukraine is a situation where it's a ally, it's a territory that's being invaded, that has made huge strides when it comes to corruption, and we do not have our skin in the game at all, other than providing support for Ukraine. It's just crazy.
As far as morally acceptable, you do what's best in the benefit of your country. And so, for example, we were allied with Russia during the Second World War, and I'm glad we were. And I would ask you,
Don't forget.
how much money is
It was because of common enemies. There's a reason we started like a 30-year Cold War with Russia and a bunch of proxy wars with Russia and almost killed the entire planet in nuclear annihilation. We had common shared enemies. I don't know why Charlie Kirk keeps on going back as if we share a kinsmanship or like a brotherhood with Russia. Like he talks as if we share a brotherhood, a bloodline, an ancestry that we need to back up with Russia. Like it's really weird. But again, I mentioned before in my other clips about Charlie Kirk that he is funded by the oil barons and the oligarchs from Russia. He does get a lot of Russian money, just like Tim Pool is verified to have received, Michael Knowles, Benny Johnson, all those guys.
is too much money to send to Ukraine. We're at $200 billion right now.
I don't think you have to send any more money to Ukraine.
We agree.
I think you have to agree to support them as a free country and perhaps sell them weapons, like you're very happy to sell weapons to less free countries.
True. Trump had an issue with even selling Ukraine weapons, okay? All this professor is saying is not give them more money. He is saying give them international legitimacy, even just like putting your words behind them. But Trump is best friends with Putin. Trump is best friends with Putin. Trump loves Putin. Trump legitimately loves Putin. That's why Trump talks about Putin like the smallest little baby weenie in the world. He's like, Vladimir, stop. Vladimir, I thought you were different, Vladimir. Vladimir, I thought you changed. You changed, Vladimir. What's going on, Vladimir? I thought we had a kiss, that we shared a pact of love. Like there's a reason Trump loves Putin. And Trump loves all these countries in the Gulf states. And, Trump loves any country he can get bribes from, essentially. Any country dirty enough and corrupt enough to give Trump personally money, okay, is going to be one of his favorites. That's why he hates the EU. He hates Canada, hates Mexico, hates stable countries. He loves Hungary. He loves El Salvador. He loves these gangster mafia states.
And I think Europe,
Saudi, Qatar.
As we ought to. And I don't disagree with some of the comments about Europe not looking after its own security. I just don't get.
Europe should build their own security, but also America, the way we structured the world is the reason they did not build their own security. Okay, America, our wealth largely comes from our military and the expansiveness of it and the the military, just the equipment alone, the drills we do with NATO, with our allies in NATO, like
this approach, which was supposedly to end the war quickly,
it wasn't really Europe's
which
decision.
now seems to be elongating it, and in doing so, throwing up a smokescreen of very variable facts, if they are facts at all, about how things occurred, which actually isn't helping things. And if people can't see that Putin...
He is saying essentially that Trump talking as if, saying multiple times, Trump said multiple times, Ukraine began the war. It's Ukraine's fault. Zelensky, if he thought he could win the war, he never should have began the war. If he thought, you know, if he needed help from the U.S., he blames Zelensky. He gave Russia credit for the land they took. He gave Russia credit for losing troops. He gave Russia credit for their strength and resolve. In this moment, Trump has never said one positive thing about Ukraine or their people. So it's very clear what side Trump's on. That's what the professor is saying there.
Stalling.
I agree with you. I think he might be stalling.
And therefore, and I think even your president has acknowledged the fact that he thinks he might be stalling.
That's correct. So we don't have a disagreement there.
No, we don't. No,
we just have a disagreement about the efficacy of tactics. And we don't know. And I'm willing to say we could be wrong.
No.
Efficacy of tactics.
Of course you
What kind of suit is Charlie wearing? What kind of suit is this? Oh, is it just like blending in right here, the collar?
could be wrong in life.
Yeah. I mean, we could all be wrong. But actually bringing that war to an end...
I mean, there's no way. There's no way to know facts. I mean, there's zero facts we can even have, right?
And we don't know.
Impossible. How could we know? How do we know?
Well,
there's no way to know.
You could be wrong in life.
Yeah. I mean, we could all be wrong. But actually bringing that war to an end consistently actually isn't going very well. And I would just suggest to you that whatever tactics have been used are perhaps not the best. And they are certainly inconsistent with what's going on in the Middle East.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome, dude. I love how Charlie can spread. I don't know why this would be a good clip for Charlie to share. I know the MAGA audience, again, pushovers that don't do research, but still, it's a really weird clip to share. He does not look good here, really, but okay. Every single one of us is media. For us to overcome what's happening right now, we all need to push in the right direction. Whether you make your own content, if you share my content or another creator you like, thank you so much for supporting this. We all need to do our job, and I really appreciate what you have to give, whether it's financial or not. If you cannot afford to donate, do not donate. Share the video around, drop a like, comment, subscribe. You are helping more than you could ever imagine.